As you're probably aware, the free application for federal student aid has experienced a facelift with this coming school year. In October, typically every year, the free application for federal student aid would be required to be filled out to get any type of federal student aid, and in most cases, to get any type of institutional aid from your college. This coming year, it's going to be pushed back by a couple of months to sometime in December. Now, what we want to make sure is that we understand the positives and the negatives of the FAFSA Simplification Act that's taking place. Today, in this video, we're going to cover the 4 benefits of the FAFSA Simplification Act, who stands to benefit specifically, and the ways in which you can take advantage of these benefits that are now taking place. The first benefit that we can now take advantage of with the FAFSA Simplification Act is for many families, we're going to see Pell Grant eligibility that's increased. You may be wondering, what exactly is the Pell Grant? The Pell Grant is a federal grant that is eligible to low-income borrowers. This grant is very beneficial in that in almost every single case, it does not need to be repaid. For most student loans and for federal aid, these types of plans need to be repaid. However, with the federal Pell Grant, that's money that is typically received as a gift from the federal government and can be used towards college that does not need to be repaid. In terms of the expansion, you'll be able to see a chart that will show what that looks like for most families moving forward. While we're showing you one example, we're going to put in a link in the description that'll show you a rough draft of what the Pell Grant eligibility will be for the 2024 to 2025 school year. This grant eligibility expansion gives low-income families a chance now to receive more aid from the federal government, as opposed to either having to take out additional student loans or find a way to close that net cost. This is a very positive change for low-income families and something that will take place starting this year and will continue moving forward. One of the big changes that's certainly a positive for most families due to the FAFSA Simplification Act is that most untaxed income, which was previously counted towards income for school, is no longer going to be the case. The 2 biggest examples of that is number 1, 529 plans which are owned by grandparents, and number 2, retirement plan contributions, specifically those in a 401k and a 403b. When it comes to grandparent-owned 529 plans, they're a very popular way for grandparents to save for a grandchild's college. And one of the positives of that has always been the case is that neither the parent nor the student has had to list that account as an asset on the free application for federal student aid. Therefore, any money that was held in the parent's name for the grandparent's name for the benefit of that grandchild did not need to be considered as an asset. However, one of the downsides was if you use the grandparent-owned 529 plan to pay for school, either in the freshman or the sophomore year for that grandchild, the money that would be coming in would be counted as untaxed income to the student. That's a great way to lose some potential needs-based benefits that would have been available to the student if they were improperly using it. Now, moving forward, the free application for federal student aid will no longer consider grandparent-owned 529 plans which are being distributed from. So, if a grandparent owns that 529 plan and wants to get it out of their name, they can use that whether it be freshman through senior year of college, and it will not penalize the student. Similarly, what was the case for 401k and 403b contributions, which were not delineated on a tax return, those numbers will no longer be included when asked by the FAFSA. So, for example, if a family was making $100,000 a year, however, they were contributing $10,000 a year to a 401k, their modified adjusted gross income would have shown up as $90,000 in that year. However, when they fill out the free application for federal student aid, they would list the $90,000 of modified adjusted gross income and add the $10,000 of 401k contributions to the FAFSA. As a result, it looked like you were making $100,000 on paper and for financial aid purposes. Moving forward, this delineation now is no longer going to need to be reported. So the $10,000 that was contributed to a 401k plan does not need to be listed on the FAFSA. It's a welcome benefit to those that are currently contributing to retirement plans. However, not every single retirement plan is going to see this benefit. It really is going to go towards specific retirement plans in which the contributions are not delineated on the tax return. The next big change that's a positive for parents is an income protection allowance increase. What this means is that the FAFSA is not going to look at every single dollar that a family makes and say that's money that can and should be going towards schooling. Instead, they're only going to consider the income above that income protection allowance, in which they'll assess to say that you should be paying that to go to school. As a result of this increase in the income protection allowance, you'll notice that there's going to be, for some families, a decrease in that student aid index, which could allow you to potentially qualify for more need-based aid. One of the positive changes that parents who are in a divorce situation will now experience is that if you're receiving child support, that previously was counted as income to that parent. Moving forward, it's going to be counted as an asset to that parent. And why that's important is that income, generally speaking, is going to be assessed at a higher rate than an asset would. Any income that's reported to the parent typically would be assessed at a 22 to 47% rate that would drive up that expected family contribution. Moving forward, and we'll use the correct new term, the student aid index, any contributions of child support that are made to the parent, the custodial parent who's listed on the FAFSA, they now need to list that child support received as an asset. And why that will help parents is parental assets are only going to be considered at 5.64% as opposed to the higher limits, which would have been reported as income. This is a welcome change for parents who are receiving child support and who are the listed custodial parent on the FAFSA. There are many other procedural changes which are taking place with the FAFSA Simplification Act, and you can check that out in one of the other videos here. However, there are going to be some positives which we mentioned today. There are also going to be some negatives that are taking place with the FAFSA Simplification Act. Regardless, this is going to affect everybody. Whether you've been filling out the free application for federal student aid before, for prior children, and for prior years for your current children in school, or if you're filling this out for the first time. This is going to be the same across the board for everybody moving forward. So for those that were previously completing the FAFSA and have been relying on a certain expected family contribution, you could notice some positive changes taking place with the new student aid index. As always, make sure for your specific situation that you consult your CPA or accountant and your financial planner to make sure that you discuss the specifics of your financial plan and your plan to pay for college. Check out more videos by subscribing to my channel. Feel free to like this video and share it to get a better idea of what things will look like moving forward in the college planning landscape.